Hi, I'm Jack. Welcome to the No Limits Business Lounge.
So today we're speaking to Nathan from Dadversity. Listen to how his personal circumstances influenced him to create this unbelievable platform for dads. Diary of CEO.
Yeah.
I used to love that when it started because it was just something that was true, real.
Yeah.
But now what it's turned into is just so
quite performative.
Yeah, the ones recently that I've listened to, you listen to billionaires or millionaires try to give you advice about what you should be doing without any understanding of what normality is.
Yeah.
Or you're listening to him speaking to a mafia boss, which is a great episode, but the mafia boss is telling you how to live your life. I'm like, how can that resonate?
Yeah.
So that's why I just thought, okay, why not do something that's going to benefit me, but hopefully benefit a lot more young people. I just think, going back to it, they're screwed.
I love that. That's really cool.
They're screwed. I'm doing one there. What is it called? Inspire Me Talk. That's what they're calling it. So there's a college in Liverpool. They've wanted me in for a while. I always said no to them because I knew they'd say, we want you to do this, but you can't say this, that.
And you're never going to do that.
I'm never going to do that.
Yeah.
Ever. So I said to them, I'll only ever do it if you just fuck off and let me do how I want to do it. So doing that, that's to the whole college. That's 1,200 students.
Wow.
1,200 students, and the whole purpose of it is to try and inspire one of those kids to do something.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're not doing something, but it's giving them a different perspective of what they see, because the difference to what they have to what we had is social media. Now, you might think, well, that's a great thing. It is if you use it in a e-commerce way. So if you use it as a platform for business, but so much worse in the perception side, because what you see online, you perceive that's to be normal.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And that it's just not, sometimes it's not the reality. So I have loads of kids, students say to me, okay, they're going to do X, Y, Z because they want to become an influencer. And I say to them, come on, like, okay, you can do that on the side and try, but what's the ratio of a successful influencer? It's very low.
Yeah.
The only reason you're seeing it is because of the algorithms pushing it to your face. That's the reason why. I'm looking to get some home renovations done, and fortunately I've got a big house to do certain things, but certain things aren't feasible because of the shape. So when my family members have been showing me ideas, I'm like, just because you're seeing that and you're thinking that's normal, that's not normal to have that. So one of them had this lighting thing where the lights are spirals like that all over the ceilings, and the spiral continues to the hallway, and then it merges with the spiral bloody
Staircase. Looks great.
It looks great. That's what you're seeing online. You're thinking that's achievable, but flipping, we're in the UK. You don't have many houses like that.
No. I think it's interesting, isn't it? Are we good to just carry on, by the way? Just rolling. Awesome. Oh, we'll carry on, cool. I think it's interesting that, so I saw, when you talk about the perception thing, I saw something this morning, and it was a woman posting about how she is basically on the verge, she's already broken up a family, and she was giving permission to other people to do the same. She was like, it's okay to feel like you want a good family unit, but it's also okay, if it's not working, to just walk away. And don't feel obliged to give any reason or rationale why you want to walk away. And I'm reading this going, this is fucking mental. Like, these people have now got a platform to give people advice without any context on their situation. And I'm looking at the comments, mate, and there must be 30, 40 other mums going, I'm so glad I saw this tonight. This is the permission I needed to make the decision. And I'm sat there thinking, you've got kids at home, and you're going to make a decision which tips your whole family upside down off the back of a random influencer you know nothing about in Bolton, who you've never met, you have no context over a situation, and that's going to be the thing that breaks your whole family up.
Well,
that is wild to me.
That's the dangers of social media and influencers, because even in my industry, we've got a lot, we call them finfluencers, right? Finfluencers, in other words, twats, right? That's my word for them. But you'll see them selling courses online, right? You see them with Telegram groups. You see them when cryptocurrency and Bitcoin's doing amazingly well. They're trying to sort of push this meme coin or random coin so that they benefit, or some. You see so many things, and I just think if you are resorting to social media for professional advice or Telegram for professional advice, you've lost it in the head. But it's normal to this generation. And actually I did, I'm sure I did a video on this one guy who had a Telegram group. He had this meme coin, I can't remember who it was. He was selling a course and he was saying, this is the next one, it's going to blow up, you're going to become a millionaire. Funny thing is that that coin no longer exists. So everyone that invested there lost the money.
So why do you think they do it? Like what's the logic? Is it status and just financial clout at a young age? Like what is the thing that...
No, it's just what they see online is what they want. And it's what we were speaking off camera about. Without taking that risk, without working hard for it, this is the ultimate cut the corner and make my dream come a reality at 20 years old. That's not normal. It's not normal at all. And I think that's the danger of seeing what's online, because they think, okay, I want that, I'm going to achieve that. But to get to that, I'm not going to take the risks, I'm not going to work hard for it, I'm not going to have a backup plan. It's just because KSI has done it, I'm going to do it. That's just daft.
Yeah, it is. And I think the thing when we spoke off camera, you spoke about your the success you had when you were kind of early 20s. It's never enough, is it? When you go through, you're always chasing the next thing, and it feels like with a lot of these people, they don't see some of the hurdles that are going to come their way, because it's very difficult, isn't it? I mean, especially when you launch something, you're on your own doing it at the start. It can be quite a lonely place, can't it?
Yeah, and it doesn't help with certain decisions the government have made, which I'm against, and people might criticise me for this, but you know, working conditions. I'm not saying go back to slave labour, but I'm saying get people working flipping harder, right? Don't give people more luxury. Don't say we're going to, you know, look at ideas for 4-day weeks, or people have to work certain amount of hours, etc. No, you should be getting and encouraging people to work harder whilst they're younger. So my motto is you go through stages of life. Once your studies are finished, let's say 20 to 30, you should be working your absolute backside off, because that's the most key part of your life to set up the next stage of life. If you've worked hard and you can say and look in the mirror and say you've worked hard, 30 to 40 is growth, because you've worked hard. Now it's all about working smart. 30 to 40. 40 to 50 is all about preparing for proper life. How are you going to spend the rest of your life? Because you've got to remember, mortality rate's what, 85, right? People are now working until 60, 65. So you're telling me that you're only going to spend 20 years of your life, well, probably 10, because you'll be too old towards the latter stages. 10 years of your life fully enjoying your life? That makes no sense to me at all.
Yeah, it's backwards, isn't it?
It is. What's wrong with working 20 years of your life and enjoying 20 years of your life? And that, I think that's where the government are going wrong, in the sense that they're not pushing people to be risky, they're not pushing people to truly work hard. If you go to other countries, you'll see the meaning of working hard, and you'll see the more meaning of appreciating as well. Here you just get people complaining about the weather, complaining about the diet. I'm one of those, to be fair. But you get the gist. It's just different, isn't it?
How do you think it plays into like dads in business? Obviously, we spoke earlier about the dad stuff. I'm building my thing. You're doing your thing about educating youngsters as well. So we're on a fairly similar track with this. Like, how do you feel about the Yeah.
Well, this is my podcast. Why are you asking
I know.
me questions?
Listen, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
No, that's
you
fine.
dive in and fire back as well. But I'm intrigued about how this work-life
Yeah.
balance sits when you've got a young family. Because I don't know what the answer is. I haven't found
Yeah.
that magic formula yet. I work way too much.
Well, do you know
with
what?
young
One
kids.
of the greatest talks I've actually listened to in the past few years, I don't know if you listened to this one, it was Gareth Southgate's speech.
No, I've not seen it.
It's unbelievable. If we can, we should tag that one in as well.
Yeah.
He, in a nutshell, he was basically saying there's a problem with young men and young dads at the moment in this country, and it all stems from home.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've got to remember, as young dads, you mentioned how do you balance work life, home life. If we're sending our kids to school every single day, 5 days a week, 8 till 3, 8 till 4, and we only spend potentially 1 or 2 hours a day with them, what are we doing with that 1 or 2 hours? He was basically saying, now dads need to have a reset and remember what dads were, to build. It was more predominantly based on young men, how to build the attitudes, the behaviours of young men, how to build the respect back up, because currently there's a big...
There is.
Yeah, I mean, when I was growing up, I was always scared of three types of people. My teachers, police, and my parents. And that fear was a good thing because it was out of respect, not out of, okay, I'm going to get beaten.
Yeah.
There's none of that now. Now, how do you balance that? Everyone's different. If you're working, I think that you can work in a way where you're showing your children what you're doing in a positive way.
Yeah.
So you're showing the graft that a dad needs to work so that you've got food on the table. You can show what hard work really means. I've seen that with my own dad. If I'm in a position where I think, okay, do you know what? I've worked hard for what I have. I've worked probably 1% of what my dad had. You know, he was brushing floors at the age of 12 to 14. He used to get 3 buses from the cash and carry with boxes and sacks of onions to take to his restaurant. Right? I didn't have to do any of that. I've had all the luxury.
Yeah.
But I think it's gone far too much the other way. So I think if you're working, you can definitely show your children what hard work means, and you can definitely instill that respect element. And the time that you spend with them has to be precious. We were talking off camera how if you let work and money consume your life, you won't give time to your children. Time is the biggest commodity you have, right? So if you've got 2 hours after work and your kids have got 2 hours, don't just sit in front of the TV. Don't just, go off out to the gym at that time. Go to the gym early in the morning when they're sleeping. Spend those 2 hours. And I think that's important because that's where presence is felt for youngsters. And that's what Gareth Southgate was saying. So if you haven't watched that, definitely watch that.
Yeah, I'll have a look at that.
Yeah,
It's an interesting
but
one.
going on to you, back to my podcast, not your podcast. I know we've already started talking about loads of specifics, but just give me a quick synopsis and intro. What is it that you do?
Yeah, it's a really interesting story. So I haven't had a proper job until 4 months ago. So I basically, when I left school, I launched a business. My dad always had companies as well, but I decided to launch a business. So I basically left school. Sorry, that's not true. I got a job for about 6 months in the civil service, which probably prompted me to launch in a business. I knew at that point I would never work for someone. I certainly wouldn't work in like local authorities.
Yeah.
And so I basically passed my driving test, got a job delivering fast food, and launched my first startup, which was a promotional merchandise company. And in the space of about 6 months, working from a back bedroom, I landed Domino's Pizza for their UK and Ireland franchises. So we basically started creating merch for 380 stores at that point. It was crazy. And I did not have a clue what I was doing. I was really drawn to the design element and all the cool stuff around merch, but supply chain, and you'll know, you learn lessons really fast at the sharp end when when you're sending kind of 40 grand orders to, I don't know, China to get some t-shirts printed, and I made some bad mistakes. So, you know, ultimately the business failed, and then I went on this process of testing lots of things. I ended up in recruitment for 12 years with a consultancy where we would basically go into businesses and help them hire better. So we'd give them all the frameworks and the processes.
But you know, when the business failed,
yeah,
what happened? As in, like,
I didn't care. I was so I don't know what happened.
It failed.
Yeah,
You just carried on.
I just carried
How
on.
did you sort of react to that? How did you deal with it?
I threw myself into the next thing. There was no real, there wasn't like this business grieving process where you're going, oh, I've really messed up, this is a disaster, the kind of life's over, what are we going to do next? My friend came back from London after working in recruitment and basically said, look, we should start a recruitment agency. I've been doing this now for 3 months, so I know exactly what he was doing. Clearly that's bullshit. But we did, and we just started it on a Monday, and it basically started with me working. I remember working at the top of the stairs on the landing with one desk, and he was in one of the bedrooms at my house on another desk. We couldn't even see each other, and it was a Monday morning. We were just like, right, let's go. And we started an agency and then started to try and grow it, and eventually that became a consultancy where we'd go and help companies internally to hire better. But it was, and I'm not entirely sure what the lesson is from the next kind of 7 years of doing that. But
Well, I mean, one of the major lessons is business failed. You didn't dig your head in the sand. You just moved on to the next. And I think that's a big lesson, because the ratio of failing businesses in the UK now is at its highest it's ever been.
What is it, 95% the first 5 years or something? It's big,
ridiculously big. And depending on which industry, so hospitality is the biggest one, where it fails the most. I think 1 in 2.8, so basically 1 in 3 fail. It's okay. That's what people need to understand. It's okay if it fails. Just, you know, brush that day off your shoulder, go on to the next, carry on. And the thing is, a scary statistic is, because I'm sort of ingrained in this type of work, those that fail in the business, as a percentage, how many do you think try again?
I think the number will be huge, because it's a really addictive process. You'll tell me I'm wrong, but I think the number will be huge. And I don't know why. When I said to you there, like, there's something about, I don't know how I felt when I was going through it, because I was so head down just trying to build something. But I just get, it's almost like an addiction in the end. I'm so obsessed with it.
You'll be surprised it's really low.
It's low, is it? Wow.
Really low. Because you've got to understand the behaviours of this sort of society now. Financial security has been drilled into our heads. It's needed.
Yeah.
Right? So there's less people taking the risk because they're worried about next paycheck, which is fine. Cost of living is higher than it's ever been. And that's been drilled into our heads. Everything's being drilled into us. And you've got to understand why. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm a believer of, okay, if things are being told and thrown at you constantly, there's a reason for it.
But look, I mean, the first thing I'd say on that is I mean, two things actually. I never consume any mainstream. I switch away from it immediately. But I always, when I decided, I went through this process of deciding that I didn't want to do recruitment anymore. And so we had this consultancy. The last contract was with the University of Oxford. It was a great contract, prestigious brand. But I've never been as unhappy in work in my life doing that thing. And I was like, I've got to get out. So I had like 6 months runway to protect the family. And I was desperately searching for the thing I wanted to build. And it happened to be Dadversity. There was an experience I had when I was just basically walking. I was like, I want to build something for dads. But I decided to get out of recruitment. I had 6 months runway. And to your point, when you talk about protection and financial stability, my immediate thought was, how am I going to get short-term revenue to build Dadversity to stage 1 or version 1, then version 2? And my answer was just driving Uber. So I literally went from a nice little cushy building this recruitment consultancy in the back end of 2024 to then saying, I'm going to basically set that on fire because I hate doing it. It's giving me nothing back. And I'm going to use Uber as a mechanism to get me to build Dadversity. And so I just basically left corporate to do that and did it for 6 months. And it got me to that point, basically.
Do you know what? I love that. because again, it's teaching people you've got to do what you've got to do.
Yeah.
And again, going back to Gareth Southgate's talk, he was saying, there's no job in the world where you shouldn't sniff your nose at, if that makes sense. It doesn't matter what it is, you've just got to do what you've got to do. And what you said there, I absolutely love, because I've been through a phase of that as well myself. And you'll find that people that have built that mental resilience, they've done something like that. I had a conversation with someone, and this is incredible. I had a conversation with him in mid-December, right? The last time I spoke to this person was about 3 or 4 years ago. And 3 or 4 years ago, he was doing the Amazon deliveries, right? And he basically said to me at that point, Jack, I'm not going to do this all the time, but this is the start, believe me. And I said, I believe you. When you're ready, because he had this business idea, come to me. He did it for 3-4 years. He saved up an incredible amount. He's now launching a business in April.
That's great.
He's in the 3 or 4 years, he's managed to save up 75 grand, which isn't, that's a lot of money in 3-4 years to save. He's now going ahead. So you saying that, love that, but what happened after that then?
So I did it for 6 months. It was like the depths of winter, and you can imagine when you get getting out of your house. I started in November, and I should probably rewind slightly. So the reason I did Uber and the reason I kind of set fire to working in corporate for a while was I was desperately trying to chase something I cared about, and it was during COVID. COVID was a really rough time, actually. I was doing like 2 recruitment contracts back to back, but we actually lost Dad in the 2020. I think it was February the 17th. But we had a really bad run up to that because it was COVID. You couldn't get into hospital. It was like, hey, do you want to FaceTime him for a last time? It was a pretty grim process. And then when he passed away, I went like, I don't know what happened. I went down the rabbit hole of going, like, what if he hadn't left home when I was 4, what would have been different in life? Because then we went to a period of life where we had like a couple of stepdads who were really, like, they weren't nice guys, who were quite abusive, blah, blah, blah. And so I went down the rabbit hole of looking at what could have happened if Dad had done a better job, maybe co-parenting with Mum, or if he'd solved their problems and he never left. Like, what would have happened? What would have life looked like? So he was a really ambitious guy, and I think he was a good guy at his core, but we had quite a fragmented relationship. And so I waited, and this was, I think, quite a big frustration. I waited until, and I didn't wait intentionally, but after he passed away, suddenly you go, oh shit, like there's that level of regret there because you didn't take the opportunity to have more difficult conversations. And so it was after he passed away I realised that I probably, fucked up and not had more conversations with him. And then I went away and thought, actually, I think this is probably a common thing with dads who have kids and realise how difficult it is. And so Dadversity basically started as a group where dads started running 5k a day together. So I put a post out on LinkedIn off the back of the recruitment business. I had a podcast, an audience of about 20,000 followers on LinkedIn. And I basically put a post out and said, look, I'm setting up a group for dads. We're going to run 5k a day together because health will be the thing that kicks you on to sorting out the next problem. It'll get you sorted. And overnight we had about 500-600 dads pile into a Facebook community from all over the world, just posting Strava scores of the screenshots. And it was wild, mate. Like, some of the messages I was getting from guys were just crazy. I mean, it was the first time, I think, in my whole career, I'd got this feeling of actual purpose and doing something that I just love to do. You get a message, and then messages from dads were coming through saying, oh, I'm struggling with this, can you help us do this, can we do this? And obviously I wasn't qualified for any of that stuff, so I needed to be careful on what advice I was giving out. But conversely, I realised that there was a much bigger problem here with dads and the kind of mental health and what they were trying to fix. And so I guess that little kind of spark of an idea became this place where dads were running 5k, and then it became a much bigger thing in Dadversity, and we launched an app. It didn't that model didn't work quite well because there was no kind of critical mass of dads. And now what it is basically me producing content on Instagram to build an audience, and we're going to launch the app again, basically. But it's the I think I realised through doing the other ventures, and this is probably good for people you speak to as well, like, the first thing you do isn't always a thing. And you realise you're going to have to probably kiss a lot of frogs until you get to the point of doing the thing that you actually enjoy, because it takes a while to figure it out, right?
So, I mean, so this sort of company, I want to call it, is built off the back of your own experiences.
Yeah, it is.
So going back to that, you said your dad left at 4. So what was the relationship like from 4 until he passed away in 2020?
It was you know, sometimes it was good. He wasn't very present from kind of 4 till, or from what I can remember, from 4 till maybe 16. And I think was
it a divorce?
Yeah, they got divorced basically, and Mum met a couple of other guys. So over a period of like 15 years or something. So they got divorced. Dad had met someone else. I think he was having a relationship, or probably an affair at that point with his someone he worked with, and they actually stayed together for a long time. So, but he just wasn't present. He wasn't there, and I felt a lot of resentment towards that. I think as a kid you need your dad, right? You need both parents together, and even if it's a co-parenting situation, you still need like real alignment from both of them as to guide the kids. So
when you said before about having those difficult conversations with him, was what would you have said? Is it about not being present? Because that seems to be, we even said it off camera, that seems to be, for me, the number one issue. That not being present, whether that's physically or mentally being present with your children. Was it that? Yeah, potentially. I think I would have been more interested in the personal stuff around like the affair and how he was feeling at that point and why he couldn't fix the relationship at home. And my instinct says he probably didn't have access. You know, we're talking like early 90s, 90, 91, 92. My instinct says he probably didn't have access to the information to know how to fix it. And he probably came home after a long day at work. I think he was a sales rep for like a company that fit CCTV at that point. And so my instinct says he probably came home, busy, driving all day, selling. He's got 3 children at home. It's stressful, right? It's hard work. It's not easy. And he probably thought, actually, you know, I've got a woman at an office, I've got no children with her, it's very exciting. Coming home to 3 kids who are screaming isn't that exciting at all. It's a real graft at times. And I'm going to take the easy route and I'm going to decide to leave. And I think I would have wanted more context on that, because I think that would have been the foundation to building the relationship again. So had that have happened now, obviously you've said the 90s were different to now, what would you say to him? So I don't think the conversation would have been a problem. I think how he executed the problem that he was trying to fix would have been different. And I think that's the spark for Dadversity as a concept. I want to try and give dads the practical advice that layer in the context of their life, and then they can go and fix the problems, right? It's not, I don't think the conversation with, you know, him and I would have been a difficult one. I think there's always a level of like hierarchy in a family where it's probably difficult to approach. Once you have it, maybe the conversation flows. But I think, you know, trying to apply the logic to fix the problem when you are in the problem is I think the most difficult thing to do. So I think that would have been the bigger challenge for him, and that's the reason why I want to build Dadversity. And also, you know, Jack, I speak to friends all the time who are young dads, and their dads have got young kids. Like, they struggle a lot. Like, people are struggling. Do you think people are now a lot more open to talking about their issues? They are. I do, but I worry about the concept of just talking and everything going away. Yeah. There are some great brands out there doing some great things to promote conversation, and I think that's a great first step to take. My concern is, I think just empty words in a vacuum of people who are in a similar situation becomes a problem. So if I'm a dad and I go for a beer with a friend because I've got a problem with the kids and I talk to him about it, I'm not sure he's best placed after 4 pints to give you great advice. So you leave the pub and you've had a few beers and the dopamine's kicked in, you're laughing a little bit because, you know, you've had some time with your mate and you've had a couple of drinks, but it doesn't solve the problem, right? Is that where Dadversity can bridge the gap.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think that's the opportunity. I think the opportunity is for dads who want to take small practical steps to fix stuff. With people who are qualified to give them advice, not a bunch of influencers on Instagram who rock up occasionally after kind of watching 5 videos and their algorithm kicks in. To your point earlier, I think it's really dangerous to get advice from people without applying your own context to the situation.
Well, do you know what? I want to sort of change the direction of this talk and be a bit more controversial. Hopefully spark some women to get involved and criticise me to the absolute T here. Last year, in 2025, there were over 100,000 divorces.
Okay.
Over 100,000 divorces in the UK. So the divorce rate is always going like that. Whenever I deal with a divorce case or I hear of one, it's always the feminist movement. Women have to have everything. The support has to be for women. And there's always a, let's say, starting point of what did the man do? The man was wrong. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
it's always that starting point. But I've never once come across a case legally or financially, because I work in both sectors, whereby anyone's ever said, what support is there for the dad? It's always, okay, what can the mum have? What can the mum get? It's always that. And every case I've ever dealt with is, people get, as in the wife, always gets told, take him to the cleaners. That's all I hear. And the most horrible part of it is, having dealt with hundreds of these cases, one, never any support or advice for the dad, because that's a horrible thing to go through. You've experienced it yourself. Number 2, the kids. It's always a case of starting point again. Women get involved in this. Starting point again is the kids go to the mum always. And then dad, you might see them once every 2 weeks, once every 4 weeks. That's why I've got a lot of sympathy, because what you said, how can co-parenting work if there's those parameters in there? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's largely correct. I think there's this delta between the rights of dads and the rights of mums, and I don't have data, but you just feel it anecdotally, right, when you speak to dads regularly, and they go through the similar process. And I think that's a problem. So there are depending on the study you read, between 2.4 and 2.7 million kids who grow up with absent dads in the UK.
But do you think that's a factor? The fact that they've gone through a divorce, the legal system in the UK, the feminist movement in the UK, it's all pushing the kids, stay with your mum.
I think there's a bigger thing moving where the country in general, and I think a lot of Western countries are pushing for the breakdown of conventional families. And I think that's a real big problem for kids especially. There's this appetite, and you've seen it kind of dramatically for, I don't want to say pressure, because I think women, clearly women deserve to work and have purpose and grow corporate careers and be happy and do what they want to do. But, clearly, if both parents are working full time, it's going to affect how much time you get with your children. I think historically, when I was growing up, mum was working when dad was working, but I don't recall her working at that level. It wasn't like.
Well, that's what I mean. It has to be 50-50, as in, okay, if a couple have gone through a divorce and legally the kids are staying with the mum, but the mum's working full time, the dad's working full time,
right,
and there's an agreement in place. This is the typical case I see. Dad gets to see them every weekend or every 2 weekends and have them. How is that right? Because if you're saying to society, you can work, but the kids, that's different. My opinion is, okay, you spend 50% of the time here, 50% of the time here.
Yeah, it should be.
That's it.
Yeah, it should be.
I've never seen a case like that, ever.
I've never seen it, and I think it takes some real maturity from both parents. And I'm not even sure it's maturity. I think it's just common sense for both parents to say, let's get around the table and do what's best for the kids. And I don't think that conversation probably happens enough. I think the initial reaction is, mum gets the kids.
How can it, if the starting point is always
it can't.
The fault is at the dad?
It can't.
Do you see what
there is
I
a
mean?
delta. No, I'm with you. I
it's
agree.
That presumption of, okay, you've got, 2 things here, and you're getting to the finish line, but the mum gets to start here. Because of how society perceives things now and all of these movements. And that's where I just think it's a big sort of issue for dads that have gone through divorce or separated dads, and what you're trying to build. I think that's a big root cause problem.
It is, and we see it. I mean, look, you only have to look at suicide cases in men, right? When you compare the difference between the genders, the 2 genders, the suicide rates are just through the roof when it comes to guys. And so there's clearly, anecdotally, you look at the data and you go, yeah, there's, men are suffering, and there's clearly a lot of reasons for that. Like, there's a lot of different issues, and you and I would never sit here and say, every dad's perfect and they're all absolved from blame. That's not what this is about. But it's also got to be the same the other way, and say, actually, every mum can't be absolved from that blame either. And it's got to work both ways, and you've got to find that intersection between the two, and I don't think that's happening at the moment.
I think I get more rattled than most, because there's a Liverpool Women's Network, business network group created. So it's women's only, which is fine, go for it if you want to do that. And there seems to be a women's group for everything. So I tried to create a Liverpool men's business group, and it got knocked back straight away.
Yeah, well, it will. Yeah.
But I just think the hypocrisy is unbelievable.
I think it's because men are perceived to be more resilient and they just brush things off.
But you can't make those assumptions, because, like you said, if there are dads going through a divorce, they also need support. They also need to talk. So in every walk of life, if you have a women's group for X, Y, Z, why is it not feasible or allowed to have a men's group for X, Y, Z as well?
And so it's an interesting point, because I think the thing that I've analysed from this is I've not met many guys who don't try and lift women up in business. Like, I don't recall working for any CEO through any recruiting contracts, through even my own stuff and how I'd view it, who doesn't make every effort to lift women up inside the business as well. I just don't see that disparity.
I don't think there's ever been an issue unless you go back to the 70s and 60s.
I think it's probably, I think you're right. I think you go back decades and it was a big problem. But now I just don't see it. And that's the experience of being inside 4 companies on recruiting contracts. I just do not see that anymore. And so, I think that gap's widening. And I'm not entirely sure how you pull it back. I think the way to pull it back through a Dadversity lens is to try and give dads the frameworks to learn how to manage conversations better with their partner. You've got to take away the anger, right? And I think when you're going through that messy divorce stage or that messy breakup, it starts from a place of anger. It doesn't start from a place of happiness. And I think when you're negotiating from a place of anger, you're in trouble. You know this, right? Through business, it's not a good place to start from, is it?
No. So going on to Dadversity, is it set up as a charity?
No, it's not. I want Dadversity to make a lot of money. And initially, I thought that was a conflict, but I don't think it is. I want Dadversity to be a place where
so it's set up as a
limited company. Yeah. And I want it to be a place where we have lots of different revenue streams, but we always do the right thing for dads. There's never any compromise in.
But how would that work if you're doing the free courses?
Yeah, so I see content on social is free. So the intention is to then build the audience, bring it back into a community online, like, I don't know, Circle School, insert white label community here. And then we'll start to ramp up the quality of the courses that dads can get involved with. So we've got 8 different pillars of content: fitness, relationships, career advice, parenting, etc. The quality of the courses will ramp up over time, and then I expect we'll probably introduce some sort of subscription model. Right. But I really want that subscription model to be covered by businesses who have learning and development budgets specifically for dads. So if it's 20 quid a month, I want a BAE system to say, hey, we're going to cover this for dads because we think it's important. So you go corporate? Yeah, for sure. Which is interesting because I do the same thing now. Nice. So I do this across, I was mentioning I work with a lot of schools. And I focus on staff in schools as well as the students, but staff also don't have the ability to access resources
number one, they just don't have the time. Being a teacher is hard. But number two, they don't have the sort of resources to receive financial well-being or mental health well-being advice, etc. So I actually charge the school directly and say, look, this is going to cost, depending on the size of the school, could be £400, could be £1,200, could be £2,000, and it will cover every single one of your staff. A link is provided to them, they can use our services whenever they want, as many times as they want.
That's amazing. Yeah.
So you're trying to build the same thing.
We're trying to build the same thing, yeah. And I think
which I would say is the right way to do it.
Yeah, I think it is, and I've wrestled with this a lot, because part of me was, but I also think there are other ways to monetize this, right? I think if your content's good on social, you will monetize with brand partnerships as well. If we're doing a big segment on careers, why wouldn't Indeed sponsor a career segment on Instagram, whatever that looks like in the future. I just know we've got a really, really, really big problem to fix, and I think when there's a big problem to fix, you can always monetize it. And I used to be quite shy in saying, like, this was a purpose-filled mission, but I want to make a load of money from it. I actually think that's the right way to view it, because I think you've got to stay incentivized to do stuff, and I want to build something big. And when you build something big, you need a lot of money to do it, right?
Yeah. Would you ever change the setup from a limited company to a charity or a community interest?
From what I've seen, from community interest companies, there's a great guy who you should get on here as well. You might know, he's got a community interest company called Up Together. So he's doing some really good stuff in the community in Polton. From what I can see, there's just way too much red tape from a startup perspective and constantly going for funding. I think the thing I'm most focused on right now with Dadversity is how can we create content, build audience, and give dads a place where they can start to solve problems quickly. I don't want to be caught up in trying to get funding too soon, because right now I just don't need it. I mentioned earlier, it's the first job I've had in the big bad world for like the whole of my career. I took a job 3 months ago to give Dadversity the safety net to grow.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier about people having access to qualified people. So
yeah,
Dadversity is yourself as the face of it, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Who else is involved?
Yeah, it's great. So we had 15 coaches when we launched the app too soon in 2025. We had 15 coaches who were all specialists across the 8 core pillars of content that we were creating content on. And so the challenge we had was they were doing it for free, and they were all business owners, and so they were committing the time, and there was never any animosity from them. They were great because they believed in the course, and the cause, and the majority of them were dads anyway. So they would jump back in for sure. But what I want to make sure this time, Jack, is that we actually have an audience for them to deliver this great value to, and I don't think that was the case last time. I think I probably went to version 3 before version 2 was built.
Okay. And in terms of the 8 pillars, you've mentioned health and fitness is one of them. Tell me what those ones are. Yeah,
so we've got, so I guess I analysed it through some of the core areas of life that dads struggle with. So careers is a big one. You've got so many dads who are sat in jobs that they hate, and it's a big source of frustration. They come home after 8 hours and they're just sitting in the car for 10 minutes on their own before they go and see the family because they're so kind of pissed off. We've got finances in there, which we should probably speak about at some stage.
Well, I was going to say, if you ever need my services as a gesture...
Well, we need to do it.
Well, I'd happily offer anyone that's involved with yourself in Dadversity free wellbeing sessions, financial wellbeing sessions, where I just talk through the finances, listen and give my advice for free.
Yeah.
Whether you want to monetize that for Dadversity, that's up to you.
Yeah, and through all the pillars,
I wouldn't charge a thing for that.
Well, through all the pillars, fitness advice, careers advice, relationship advice, parenting. There's a bit in there in dads in business, but that's quite a complex one. It's a very difficult one to get going. So I think it's probably closer to 7 pillars when I step back and analyse it instead of 8. Finance is, I think, potentially the biggest in there, because you never learn this stuff in school. You never learn it. I remember when we were, and my kind of and this will probably give you context as to the situation at home when growing up as well. But when I was 18, the first thing my sister said to me was, "Hey, you can get a credit card now." I remember getting this credit card and sitting online and going, "Oh my God, I can order this, I can order this, and ordering a load of shit online," and it coming, and I was just like, "This is incredible." And then like 600-700 quid in as an 18-year-old, you're going, "Oh no, I have to pay for this. I get it now." It comes into a kind of vicious cycle, and I think lots of people don't get out of that cycle. So I think the financial literacy stuff for dads especially, who are thinking about the long-term kind of security of the family, but also short-term challenges with just debt and different problems that they've got, is really, really important.
Well, it's the whole coaching aspect, and just hearing someone. When I speak to people, I tell them what I do.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why I do that is not to say, okay, I've done X, Y, Z. It's, okay, if I'm telling you something, it means I'm doing it myself.
Right.
Right? And when I speak to people, because I do a lot of financial well-being seminars, and I speak to a lot of people from a well-being perspective, financial stress is the biggest area of stress still in the UK, because of why, loads of things, cost of living crisis, not understanding things. If I was to give you a few examples and show you how varied financial stress can be, let's say your parent passed away and you have to go through probate, and emotional decisions means that you just take what's given to you, you take the easiest options because you can't be bothered dealing with it.
No.
So about 6 months ago, 2 sisters lost their mum, going through probate. Solicitor said to them, you have to pay £220,000 in inheritance tax. She had a flat and a garage in London. I looked at that and said, let me just read over and let me understand the rules. They had a dad who passed away 22 years ago. So the rules are quite complex here. But in a nutshell, this was causing them a lot of stress, and they just said, Jack, we just want to get this over and done with, really emotional. Solicitor's going to charge this, we're going to pay this in tax over this many years. It meant that one of them had to take out a bit more mortgage because you have to pay a certain amount of the tax up front, etc. There's so many caveats to it. I just said to her, listen, give me a week, that's it. Give me a week. The tax bill they ended up paying was £32,000.
Yeah, that's crazy.
From 220,000, because we were able to go back, find out what allowances the dad had related to current times, do X, Y, Z to reduce the tax bill, and then the mum had an investment that was in trust. This trust was set up wrong. Well, there's so many things that needed to be looked at, but they would have just went and done it.
Yeah, and they don't.
Because of the financial stress.
You don't know what you don't know either, right?
Absolutely. So that's one area of stress. Another area of stress for people right now is budgeting, how to budget. And I see this online so many times. You've got flipping Karen down the road telling you here budgeting plan and diary and saying people can take it for free. And then you've got Tom down the road saying, he's going to create a workshop. They're not qualified. They don't understand.
No.
That every single person's circumstances are different, right? So budgeting, again, financial stress, how do you budget? Right, I'm doing this thing now. I think it was actually created in one of these podcasts. I call it, you've heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Yeah.
I call this the Jack's hierarchy of finances.
Yeah.
4 levels. Level 1, your income. Easy. What's your net income? Put it into level 1. Level 2, what are your essential expenditures? Mortgage, bills, utilities, shopping, food. Put that in the second level. For everyone in the UK, pretty much, the third level is, okay, that means we'll spend what's in the third level, right?
Yeah.
And the fourth level is, for most people, okay, after we've spent on luxury, leisure, what have we got left to save?
To invest or so,
Basically, let's find the pound coins to save. It's daft. You shouldn't do it like that. And I get it's no one's fault. It's just they've not been educated.
Yeah.
The third level has to be objectives. So you have 4 boxes, and I use myself as an example. I have 4 boxes as objectives on the third level. 1 is home renovations, 2 is holidays, 3 is my retirement, and number 4 is for family. I just in my head think, okay, last year I would put £200 a month into this one, £100 a month into that one, £500 a month into that one. So this year I'm going to increase it by 10%.
Yeah.
So 220 in this one, 550 in this one. I just make sure that that's consistent.
Yeah.
Whatever else I have left at the end of the month, I spend every penny of it, because that's guilt-free spending. I've done the hard bit.
So you've changed the perception internally to say, actually, this is it.
You should do that.
Well, you should, yeah.
Because but if you don't do that and you say, well, we don't know how, make a start. Open up an investment ISA, put £20 a month in, make that start.
People care about, and I know they shouldn't, and I think we're all guilty of it, but I think people care about how other people view them. So to your point, they wouldn't put their £400 a month into the family bucket of objectives for the holiday or whatever that is, security, whatever it is. They'd get the £400 a month Tesla instead because it looks fucking brilliant and people think they're more successful than they are. I know I've got friends, right, who are, I mean, probably topping 1,200 quid a month on car finance and earning 60 grand a year. It's ludicrous.
It's ludicrous, but again, if you change the level 3 and level 4 around and you do it consistently enough, eventually you'll get to a point where level 3 pays for your level 4. What I mean by that is the growth in your investments will pay for that £1,200 a month car you want.
Yeah.
Right? It'll pay for that watch you want. Whereas right now, the mentality in the UK is the other way around. We spend, and whatever we have left, that's what we'll save.
I think people know how to invest. I think that's part of the friction.
No, they don't know how to invest, but there's resources more than ever now. And even if you don't know how to invest, at least start with those boxes, right? I went into a primary school and I got the kids, primary school, right? We did a session and it was arts and crafts included. I gave them all 4 cardboard boxes and said, for the first hour or so, we're just going to play around, paint it, decorate all 4 boxes. Yeah. The next session was about, teaching them how to objective save. So I said, I want you all to tell me 4 things that are important to you. These are kids between the age of 4 and 10, I think. So most of them said, my mum and dad, or toys, sweets. And I got them to label each box. Then we got some just chocolate fake coins, right? I'm not going to give them real money, but gave them chocolate coins and said, everyone had a bag each. I want you all to put those coins into each box, however much you want in whichever box. But it's teaching the kids, that's how you save. Investing comes after that. Because if you don't build a habit of saving, you're not going to build a habit of investing.
No, I totally agree. I think we got it wrong. But I also think there's I remember when we launched the Facebook community, I'll take this back to the lens of dads for a second. When we launched the Facebook community, what became really apparent is people are under such huge amounts of stress from different areas of life that they don't see the obvious stuff clearly at all.
Which is fine.
Yeah, it's difficult.
It's natural.
It's hard. And so when I did the running group, I was like, oh, this is cool. And I very quickly realised this is nowhere near enough because dads are still struggling with X, Y, and Z. And they're coming to me. I had one guy, mate, saying, I remember sat I was co-working with a friend in a pub, and I was getting messages from a dad saying like, hey, I'm this running's great, it's really helping me, but I feel suicidal. What can I do? And you sat there going, this is a lot, right? And it turns out he's got issues with his career, with finances, with this, with that, with parenting, and it's all just hit him at once.
Which is why what your company's doing is great.
Well, it's almost like but in a weird way, it almost all ties back to the investing stuff, doesn't it? In that if you don't get it right and you don't have the right foundations, the problems compound as well, just as much as the investments do. And it either compounds positively or compounds negatively. And I think we see that with dads just in general, just in life. And even if you are investing, you'll go through the same emotions, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone has different problems. I'm in this industry, so obviously it's easier for me to understand it and do it, but there's other aspects of my life that I have problems with. And again, if Dadversity has those 8 pillars, it's a great place for dads to go to, and it's a starting point. And there's a great group, actually, I don't know if you've heard of them, in Lancashire called Team Kickabout.
No, I've not seen it. No.
Okay, well, I mean, I can introduce you to the guys.
Yeah.
So when I play football, it's the odd occasion now when my knees let me. So Team Kickabout is a group for dads to play football.
Nice.
Now, it's to play football, and they essentially just have that 1 hour a week. They've got one in Preston, Darwin, they're all over Skelmersdale. It's to let dads to have that sort of escape, right? I think you'd be great with them.
Yeah, it'd be great.
They are a community interest company, but I'll definitely make that introduction for you.
Thank you.
Going back onto your plans then, so you said you are, is it the second version now or the third version?
Yeah, I think probably, like 2.5. I think we're probably version 3.
So now that you're still offering through your social media content for free, how are you making money then?
Yeah, so I'm not. So Dadversity, I don't expect Dadversity to make any money for the next probably 12 months. And I think, I've been through this process of figuring out what doesn't work. And it's, we're over 2 years in now, maybe longer, 3 years of going through this process, trying to figure it out. Which is really, really valuable. But right now it doesn't make money. I don't expect it to make money until the community goes live, and there's no pressure to make money on it, which is, I think, a great place to operate from.
Yeah. But how are you surviving then?
So I've got a job. I took a big grown-up corporate job 3 months ago. So I joined this great company, actually, a great company called AV. They do they do stuff in payments, but I took a demand gen job there and basically look after some marketing for key people, basically. Okay,
so, I mean, surely that's only beneficial because it means that you're not under financial pressure to get it done.
Yeah, I think, and you probably would have felt this as well, especially with kids. Pre-kids, you can take more risks, and I really did. I went hard with a lot of risk, and I got a lot wrong and had some successes pre-kids. But when kids land, you've got to be way more intentional, I think. And you've got to have more of a plan with financially just to make sure they're secure, which is the obvious, what a takeaway kind of conversation, but the obvious thing to do. I wouldn't implore anyone or recommend anyone have a business idea, leave their job and go, right, let's go all in on this. If they've got kids, that's a really, I think, a silly tactic. I love risk and I'm a big risk taker, but I just think it's the wrong thing. So I think there's a time in life to do that, and I think after you've had kids, that probably isn't it.
Well, we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
There's a time for the risk.
Yeah.
Whilst you're younger, don't think about the consequences. Just go for it.
Oh, if you're 18 to 25, oh mate,
go for it.
I wouldn't change it. I would go all in on everything. Any idea you get, just test it.
It's the poker analogy. I mean, I play poker with my brothers and nephews, and still, funnily enough, I'm the riskiest person. But that's just my nature. But what I've noticed, again, I use poker as a good example because I can see behaviours on the table.
Yeah.
The youngsters, they're very risk averse, and it goes back to what we were talking about. That's just how the education system is built now. It's making people less and less risky.
But I mean, it's funny, isn't it? There's not much to be fearful of at that age. So what goes wrong? Yeah. So let's say hypothetically.
Well, I mean, what you said earlier, I think for youngsters, it's how they look to people.
Yeah.
They've got a fear of looking like a failure.
Yeah.
Right? That's a big one, I would say, for them. Whereas someone of our age, we didn't care. Number 2, I would also say the red tape. There's so much red tape now from a legislative point of view from the government that they think it's more complicated than it is.
It's not. Yeah.
It's not.
No.
But it just seems that way. Number 3, fear of financial failure. If I've got £5,000 as a 20-year-old, I don't want to lose that £5,000.
Yeah.
It's that preparation to go all in on the poker table.
How do you do that? What's the mindset then? So if you've got £5,000 as a 20-year-old today, what is the mindset to say, actually, I'm happy to lose this?
Well, the mindset is you're 20. So if you lose that £5,000, you go again. You're 20 years old. If you're living at home, you've got. At the end of the day, if you've got a roof over your head, you've got food on the table, and you've got wearing clothes, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree.
And most parents love their children. So you'll be fine.
And you've got to figure it out, because actually growing a business is not for everyone, is it?
No,
I would never recommend, and I see this a lot. There's a guy you probably see online as well, Simon Squibb, who does what you do, blah blah blah. And I think what he does is interesting, because he basically implores that everyone should go and have the business and do stuff. And I disagree with that. I don't think everyone is built for that life, because there are times when it's difficult, and it really does have a mental impact on you. It's not easy, is it?
It's the personality, the characteristics, the mental resilience.
It's all the things you don't ever think about before you start.
That's they're the skills you need.
Yeah.
It's not, am I good at what you do, what I'm doing?
Yeah.
I've always said, people don't buy the product, people buy people, right? So if you don't have the skills as the personable skills, that's what is required. It's not the technical.
No, I agree. No, I agree.
So if there are any dads listening, or someone wants to get involved with Dadversity, how do they go about doing that?
Yeah, so the place to start is follow me on Dadversity, so Dadversity Nathan. There's going to be a heap of content coming out over the next few weeks, and we are on a mission now to post basically 3 to 5 actionable clips a day that dads can use to try and start solving the problems in their life, both with experts and with dads who have already done it. So start there, Dadversity Nathan on Instagram, and we're going to try and grow something really impactful.
Okay, and is Instagram the only platform
it is
it's on at the moment?
Starting with one. Yeah.
Do you have a website?
Yeah, dadversity.co.uk.
Okay. So I'm sure we can link the website as well.
Yeah, cool.
And we'll link the website, and hopefully that gains traction. Now, what is your ultimate goal with Dadversity?
Yeah, I want to make a real kind of dent into this figure, this 2.7 million kids not having kind of or living with absent fathers. I really want to try and get that number down. I don't have a specific goal. I'm terrible at goal setting. You'll tell me that's a bad thing, I know, but I don't look too far in the future. I've got real wild, big dreams for Dadversity, and I think there's lots of ways we can create cool products through it. But I think fundamentally, if we sit here in 10 years' time, and we've reduced that number of kind of 2.7 million absent children at home growing up without the dads, and all the other numbers that we speak about, all the serious stuff, the male suicide rates, the general mental health and well-being of dads, if we can find a way to bring that number down and contribute positively to that, then I'll be a really happy guy.
Well, do you know what? I'm all for it. Supporting men, supporting dads. I think it's about time there's something for that. And again, the women will probably say otherwise.
Your DMs that are going to blow up, not mine.
Well, do you know what? I love controversy. I love saying things that piss people off.
Yeah.
But I've always felt, there's so much out there for mums and for women, and I think it's become a bit tiresome in my eyes.
Yeah.
I just think we've been forgotten about.
Men need help.
Yeah.
Sure.
And the stats prove that. But do you know what? I loved talking to you.
Yeah,
Any questions from you at all?
No, I'm good. It was a good chat. We went into a lot early on as well, right?
Yeah. I'm sure they'll do a good job piecing it together.
Yeah. How was it?
Good.
Yeah. Where are we? How long?
I think we're booked until 2 minutes past 1 now. So.
Cool.
So it lasted about an hour.
Yeah, just over an hour.
And what did you, when you're listening to it, especially the advice for youngsters, what are you thinking? Because you two are
I say this all to them
early
all the time.
20s. You must be ready to start up a business like this afternoon, no?